and speculators are having access to forests more than businesses. With this policy, speculators, illegitimate businesses, and other such people who should not ordinarily have access to forests will no longer have them. This policy of the CBN can, in other words, be referred to as a policy to take dollars from illegal hands and put it in the legal hands. So terrorists, criminals, kidnappers, speculators, and indeed looters are going to be denied access to forests. This policy is a policy that is long overdue, and the CBN needs the support of everyone. It is our patriotic duty to make sure that this policy works effectively.
The commercial banks must be supervised. That is what we are saying. Further, this policy did not shut down the BDC, neither did it stop them from trading in forex. I repeat, this policy did not shut down the BDC, neither did it stop them from trading in forex. Rather, it stopped them from further getting forex from the central bank because they have over the years used and misused the gesture extended to them. Nigeria cannot be working for the benefit of only a few greedy people against the interest of the nation itself and the majority of the citizens. Nigerians who need dollars genuinely should please go to their banks, do the relevant documentation, and get forex. We cannot continue living in our old ways as the only country in the world where the central bank directly sells forex to bureau de change operators.
It's no longer a news that terrorists, kidnappers, bandits, and all sorts of criminal organizations operate in this country, access any amount of foreign exchange which they require from the BDCs, otherwise known as the bureau de change, and then use this same money to acquire all sorts of weapons to continue in their criminal enterprise of terrorizing Nigerians. Simply put, if their access to forex is limited, they can only access forex upon proper documentations and certain declarations in line with international best practices. In the long run, their terrorist enterprise will no longer be lucrative, as they will not be able to get weapons.
We are not unaware of the fact that the average person in the forest business is called a bookie. This is both an acknowledgement and acceptance of the dominance of the northerners in this line of business. Hence, any policy in a segment of the economy like this will ultimately look like ethnic targeting of the people involved. The current trending harassment will immediately make northerners interpret it as harassment issue. Harassment issue will immediately make northerners interpret it as ethnic targeting. We must state categorically that this policy was not targeted at any ethnic group. President Muhammad Buhari is still from the north and will not allow any appointee in his cabinet to target the north for any purpose. In fact, the president will not allow any ethnic group in Nigeria to be targeted, no matter from which region. The insecurity ravaging the north today is what the central bank has targeted and not the people of the north. This policy will make the kidnapping of students in their schools not to be lucrative anymore, because they cannot convert this money to dollars, with which they can buy arms and ammunition to attack our villages and endanger our lives. With this policy, Boko Haram will soon come to an end. So, we, as Arewa youth, give our total and unalloyed support to the CBN for this policy. We can only call on the Apex Bank to ensure a full implementation of this policy, notwithstanding the initial challenges by way of the flip in the value of the naira, as this is only temporary, and indeed expected. We will campaign to our people to support government on this. We will take the advocacy to the villages and hamlets, and we will enlist the traditional institutions to assist us in doing this.
The Apex Bank accused the BDC operators of illegal and illegitimate transactions, warranting this decision. These operators were making excessive profits from the allocation they get weekly from the CBN, and this was to the detriment of the Nigerian people. Moreover, they have turned themselves to agents that facilitate graft and corruption in Nigeria, and CBN would not be expected to tolerate this anymore. It will interest us to know that a few owners registered and promoted multiple BDCs, not because they needed expansion of their businesses, but because they took benefit of the weekly $20,000, which means every week each of these BDCs get $20,000 from the CBN. That is allocation to each of the registered BDCs. Hence, these operators assess the allocation through multiple companies and used names to aid and launder money. It must be accepted that this ban on sale of dollars to the BDCs has necessitated by the dubious and unwholesome practices, adding that the operators have gone beyond their primary role of being retail dealers of Forex to wholesale dealers.